Rhino is designed so that customers can use it without linking it to their bank account. So for example, when you click on this month, we can see there's an invoice. If you click on the invoice, you have the ability to go in and record payments, and you could have multiple payments against an invoice. And this principle also applies to expenses. So this way, you could use the system without connecting it to your bank. If we click on the bank accounts and we click on reconcile, we can see that we've got transactions downloaded here. And if we click on reconcile, we can see all the money coming in black and all the money going out in red. So to start reconciling the transactions, we just filter money coming into the company. And if we click on a transaction, we can see there's an invoice, and we can see that the user has also recorded a payment against that invoice. So in this particular case, it's really simple. We just click on reconcile. That removes the transaction from the bank import, and it now appears in the reconcile tab. And if you click on the transaction, if you've made a mistake, you can simply undo. Okay, so it appears back on this tab. So just to reconcile that again, we just click on reconcile, and that's it. So to move on to the next one, we can see that Brian Smith has paid a deposit. So if we click on here, so the system is looking for an invoice or a payment that's been recorded in the system, and it can't find either. So we could do a search for Brian, and if we remove the amount and we click off it, we can see, there has been an invoice raised, but there's been no payments recorded against that invoice. So the system knows that a payment has been made in the bank account for 180. So if we click on create payment, it'll automatically use the data in the bank account to create the payment. By default, it'll put in the full amount, but we can see in this example, it's just 180. So we click on save. So we can just reconcile. Okay. Then we can see that there's a final payment made, and it's found that there's an invoice with a balance of 3,000. So we can see the original invoice was 3180. There was a payment made for 180. So we can now create another payment, and it uses the balance figure. And if we click on save, so we now have two payments against this invoice, and to reconcile it, we just click on reconcile, and that transaction also disappears from the system. So if we click on reconciled, we can see the deposit, and it'll show you which invoice it's linked to. And you just carry on doing this. It's the same with money going out. So we can click on, for example, insurance. It's found an expense, but we hadn't recorded in our system in Rhino the fact that it's been paid. So we can easily do that now just by clicking on create payment. And note that it'll use the date from the bank transaction and the amount. Click save. Click reconcile, so it disappears off the list. Once again, we can see all the reconciled transactions, money going out, and click back on the import. And that covers the basics of reconciling transactions in Rhino with the content of your bank account.